It's that moment where we all find out what Alex really thinks about things, and let's see if we agree or not.
Yeah.
You.
Well, gosh, I turned you all into keyboard warriors yesterday with my list of hated words. And yeah, believe me, you kept us very entertained during ad breaks, reading all of your responses. We chuckle about them. So even if we don't read them out, we enjoy them. I snort,
You do snort.
So some of you may also have noticed I used song titles and lyrics for all the straps, and there may be another theme today. So keep your eyes peeled. You're clearly a discerning and principled lot, and I'm reassured our viewers are evidently the best in the world. So let's see, praise will get me everywhere, right?
Yeah, we'll see.
Let's see how my ramblings stack up in the court of public opinion today.
Get that woman off my television. I've only just sent it.
Anyway, stay tuned, because I smuggled a little bit of fun in there too, and I haven't let him see in advance. So, right, let's get serious. Hancock's notorious clinch with the woman he has left his wife for, who he personally recommended for appointments by the taxpayer, has rather opened a can of worms for the Tories. It turns out more than a dozen donors, peers and former aides to the party have been handed top jobs overseeing departments. While the pay packets are not all eye-watering, the sheer influence and leverage is. And I doubt it's a problem exclusive to the Tories. We've had the expenses scandal, we've had rule breaking, we've had some pretty cynical behaviour at election time, and of course every year we get treated to a whole bunch of ex-employees and friends giving jobs for life in the House of Lords. It doesn't matter which side politically you're on, democracy shouldn't be run on the basis of getting positions of privilege if you have the right connections. There's
a huge issue on the honours system, on the House of Lords, whether we should have either.
Yeah.
I'm growing of the view that we should just get rid of the lot.
Yeah, no, me too. I do too. If it's not there to, curry favour and add as incentives and so on and so forth, then it can't be abused.
That's right.
Yeah.
If you want a table at a restaurant or a room in a hotel, you don't need to be Lord or Sir. Just Mr. will do.
Book online, yeah. I must admit, I'm a fan of some of the weird and wacky historical traditions of Parliament. From Blackrod slamming the door on the Queen to the fact that two opposing benches are 2 swords apart, the 2 swords distance. Don't know if you knew that. We do, of course, have the mother of parliaments, and we set a trend for democracy throughout the world. Perhaps we should continue to try to be a world leader. I actually support a Labour MP preparing to take legal action after being told she wasn't allowed to hire a locum to help cover her duties while on maternity leave. Stella Creasy, who's the MP for Walthamstow, has been told by the Independent Parliamentary Standards Authority she cannot appoint a locum to carry out some of her duties, despite full maternity cover now being available to cabinet ministers after the government rushed through the legislation in February before Suella Braverman, the Attorney-General, gave birth. Creasy was seeking to replicate an arrangement she piloted during her first pregnancy in 2019, when she was allowed to hire a locum on a £50,000 salary who met ministers and carried out constituency visits but could not vote or speak in the House of Commons. Fact is, there'll be a lot of other things mother of a newborn won't be able to do. So it's constituents who democratically miss out on having their representation stymied. And why should a woman have to choose between her job and having a child? Come on now. Let's lead from the front and have this ridiculous dichotomy finally sent packing in the 21st century. We parented the forms of parliament in countries like New Zealand, whose Prime Minister showed the world you can be a mum and run a country.
Well, she gave birth while she was running the country.
Yeah, and she brought her child into the chamber. Yeah. I knew that those pictures went around the world and people, really split reaction on bringing the child into chamber and feeding the baby. But, as a mother, what are you going to do? And Stella Creasy is saying, I want to continue doing my job. I can't do these things by myself. Let me employ a proxy to do them. And IPSA is saying, sorry, love, no.
There is a great clip, which I wanted to show on the Good News today, but I will try and show tomorrow. It's a woman who went for a job. She lost her job during the pandemic, and this is in the United States, and she wanted to find a child-friendly employer. She couldn't get childcare, so she took the child with her. And she's done this thing on, I think it's on TikTok, just a clip of how she got the child ready, the baby all dressed up and clean shoes and had a resume of their own. And of course, the company loved it. And the good news is, and what I'll tell you about tomorrow, is that she's got a job as a result.
Oh, fantastic.
So it's a big issue everywhere. Not
and
just
you'd
in the
think
country.
Parliament, it's an age-old institution. It should be leading the way. And if there's a female member of Parliament, and there are plenty of them, who give birth, the Parliament needs to make sure that they can carry out their duties, that they get full support, because, seriously, it's about time, in the 21st century, it shouldn't be a choice.
Yeah,
you shouldn't have to say, well, I can't do that.
Lords. I mean, look at the House of Lords. There's a young, thrusting organisation, isn't it? Just saying.
Now, images of the sheer numbers of inflatable vessels now stored in Kent with record numbers of migrants crossing the Channel have given me an idea. Packing people into dinghies and sending them across the sea is a criminal exercise carried out by people traffickers with links to all forms of serious crime without any regard for human lives. So why doesn't the government work with suppliers to catch the criminals behind this chain of misery? Surely getting a 32-seater inflatable down to the French coast is hardly a subterfuge exercise, yet these craft are evidently being bought in droves. Surely there is a clear human incentive for outdoor supply shops to not sell boats to traffickers, making profits for themselves and hardened international criminals. Now, I don't know whether there is a cooperation or how that could be done.
They're inflatable,
but it does...
so actually they're quite easy to get to the coast.
Well,
that's the point of inflatables.
Well, I suppose, yeah, but these things must be being bought in huge numbers, and I think it's about time, when you see the human misery being perpetuated, that there's a crackdown and monitoring on, who's buying these vessels and for what purpose.
Yeah, it's really depressing. Every day now there are images coming in off the coast of Kent, UK Border Force vessels, all with their names, bringing in, and the boats are packed.
Yeah.
With people taken off these
the numbers are utterly, unimaginable.
And people are saying, well, why don't the media cover it? We'd be here. Well, maybe we should every day just
give you an update,
a few minutes where we just show you the latest. But it'll just make you angry, and there's still no answer. I mean, it's not that people aren't trying to find out an answer. It's just impossible with the huge numbers. They are, and I have to say this, they're mostly young men. These are not asylum seekers.
Oh, no, they are young men.
These are economic migrants, and this is the problem.
Yeah, totally agreed.
Anyway, I interrupted.
I like it when you interrupt. A poll by YouGov shows only 4% of women support gender-neutral toilets. Yeah, no idea who they are, by the way.
No, right.
Men are equally unenthusiastic.
True.
So why is the overwhelmingly vast majority of the population being forced to share really intimate spaces with the opposite sex so as not to offend a vociferous
really
percentage?
Intimate spaces? You mean the place where we wash our hands?
Well, no, but just in general, toilet cubicles, the toilet itself is an intimate space in my
opinion. You'll be wanting doors
in
on
a
them,
cubicle or. But why? Why are we being told that we have to have unisex toilets by a vociferous, tiny, weeny percentage of the population? Yet they are appearing everywhere. In some schools, girls are bunking off as they're terrified and humiliated at having to share loos with boys. And frankly, I think it's only a matter of time before sex attacks happen in communal toilets in bars and clubs. Thankfully, Community Secretary Robert Jenrick said the government was amending legislation to ensure new offices, shops and venues would have to have separate facilities. Whoever decided to put them in the first place are idiots. It's ridiculous a law is having to be made to overturn an utterly misplaced trend so hated by almost every one of us.
Here.
It's just grim, isn't it? No, it's men and women both feel really
Men miss urinals, Well, no, that's the wrong way to put it.
They miss toilets a lot.
Yeah, all right. I think we've done that one. Let's quote of the day, men miss urinals.
There we are.
Don't mind. Thank gosh we're not live. Off you go.
A Grammy nominated. We are completely live, by the way. Reviewers out there thinking, what, have you pre-recorded this? Oh, no.
They'll be thinking, what are they
fresh.
drinking?
Yeah.
Water at the moment.
A Grammy-nominated Christian dad has been slammed on social media for releasing a song called Modest is Hottest on Father's Day, causing him to delete the video. The lyrics of the song encourage his daughters not to flash the flesh, with lyrics including Modest is hottest, the latest fashion trend is a little more Amish and less Kardashian. What the boys really love is a turtleneck and a sensible pair of slacks. Honey, modest is hottest, sincerely your dad. Clearly there's a problem with the rhyme going on in his lyrics, but I think the sentiment is not too bad.
But as soon as you write sincerely your dad, you've had it. Nobody listens to their dad. Anyway.
Would you speak from experience?
Absolutely. Most fathers will have understood that one. Anyway, I interrupted you.
So, anyway, he's been accused of everything, from endorsing the male gaze to oppressing the rights of his daughters. Get over yourselves. It's harmless with a much-needed message. The outrage should frankly be directed at the horrifying soft porn videos that the music industry is churning out, particularly of female artists, which are unquestionably not age appropriate and encourage girls to dress and behave rather like strippers. The objectification of women has never been so strident, and worst of all, this market is now focused at teenage girls and even prepubescents.
Who love it.
I know. Call me old-fashioned.
You're old-fashioned.
Thank you. But I see nothing wrong with a protective father light-heartedly advising his daughters to not cave to societal expectations to dress in a highly provocative manner. It's no different from a dad saying, "Are you really going out dressed like that?" and frog-marching his precious little girl upstairs to get changed.
Oh, that happens. Yeah.
Keep up the solid work, dads. That's what I say. Sometimes you really do know best.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All those dads who, when they say go upstairs and change, all the girls always do that.
Yeah. You're not going out in that, are you? Oh, well, they change and they stuff their other alternative in there.
I can imagine you, yeah.
What?
Yeah, well, what?
I was really demure when I was at school.
Yeah,
I was like, I had glasses and braces, I was chubby, and I was a straight-A student, a little swot.
And look at you now.
Yeah, thanks, yeah.
Let's move on.
In the latest instalment of What is Racist Today, we have French food.
Really?
Apparently, according to law professor Mathilde Cohen, discussing food whiteness at a talk hosted by the University of Sciences Po and Nanterre, French eating habits reinforce the dominance of white people over ethnic minorities. Yeah. Half of me thinks, merci Dieu, it isn't just our universities suffering from this destructive nonsense. The other half wonders how long it will be before they come after HP sauce.
Ooh.